So what's the expectations today?
Have fun.
I don't know about you, but I remember where I was at when the direction of my life was formed, Michigan International Speedway, on August 23rd, 1974, when I saw Richard Petty's fire red and petty blue Dodge go screaming by. Since then, probably just like you, we've been hooked. From our first media gig at the tender age of 15 in 1983 with Grand National Scene, to printing our own Supercars Today magazine in the 1990s, hence our name. Nothing against our open wheel friends, but if it has fenders, our nosy nature wants to find out the who, the why, and the how. We don't necessarily interview these people, we have conversations. So please subscribe to our channel and hit that bell to be notified of new content every Tuesday at noon. Thanks for watching, and please like, comment on, and share these videos. Today on the program, Dad Tony Venturini here in the 25A Slowpoke raced all over the Chicagoland area in the 1940s and 50s. Bill, wanting to follow in his father's footsteps, was told if he did, he couldn't live at home, so he moved out. He and Kathy then went on to win the 1987 and 1991 ARCA titles. At the season-opening 2005 ARCA race at the Daytona International Speedway, Billy was involved in a massive crash on the backstretch near the end of the race. It resulted in him ending up in a halo, much like his father did in 1989 after a crash at Michigan in a cup race. But after the injury, Billy came back with a vengeance. Despite several close calls with Victory Lane, he took the top spot in Salem 2006. But after a throttle hung at Toledo in the final race of 2007, Billy hung up his helmet and said, "Dad, I think I can run the company." And their first race out as a research and development team was Rockingham 2008, with Joey Logano driving. Since then, it's been a virtual who's who of people behind the wheel. Christopher Bell, Mikey Kyle, Bubba Wallace, people like that, and bringing their cars to Victory Lane and putting the Venturini Motorsports team at the top of the heap. But despite all that success, there was still one more thing Billy wanted to accomplish, and that was to drive at the track that his dad won his first ARCA race at in 1993, the Flat Rock Speedway. So please watch along as we follow Billy this day to compete in the Dutch Boy 150 ARCA East race.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, it's all right. Oh, it'd be nice to be up there.
Hey, your lever switch is stuck. I saw everyone fucking over here and I was like, oh. I just walked up and I was like, what the hell? Go over and get the car tonight or something. Come back. 3 foot. 2 foot. 1 foot. Contact. Radio part and everything out once a week.
What's going on, sir?
I know, but they usually they didn't put one of those stickers on my helmet, did they? Such a weird back here. I'm not exactly. Normally they would, like you said, like the helmet and all that.
Well, I guess we call it a comeback, right?
I wouldn't say a comeback, a reunion. About more of like a reunion.
Now, I'm not a gotcha reporter, but I want to get Billy's reaction, and he hasn't seen this yet. So I'm going to show it to the folks, and I'm going to show it to Billy. You remember that, right? Start number 1, Louisville. Yes, sir.
Yep.
So, from 1994, what are your thoughts on that day? I mean, so long ago, 29 years.
Holy cow, right? It makes me feel old. Well, I wasn't supposed to run that race. Bob Loga talked Dad into letting me run the car because they needed a couple. They were short a couple cars. So I got Dad's backup car, and really enjoyed it and did pretty well. And eventually, Dad made me come in, but I ran for I was supposed to run 5-10 laps. I ended up running I don't know, I want to say 30 or 40 laps, maybe even 50. But it was fun. And then after that, I got a few more starts that year.
Yeah, you did Toledo.
Yeah,
finished
the
fourth.
First Toledo, I ran the first Toledo. I didn't finish fourth. I think I ran the first Toledo.
I don't remember which one.
Then I ran I-70.
Who can forget that?
Ran super well there. And then ran the second Toledo and finished fourth then.
There it is.
And then ran Atlanta.
Right. You're
Yes, ran Atlanta.
right. We've known each other almost, 35, 40 years. And
Yeah.
I've always remembered you as a guy who wanted to drive.
Yeah.
And so you say it was kind of like, oh, whoops, I'm driving today?
Well, I was running legend cars. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I wasn't racing anything. I was racing legend cars. I just wasn't slated to do that one. No, I absolutely wanted. He gave me the steering wheel then. I was going to do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to miss any of those opportunities.
Was the goal always to keep going,
Always.
moving up the ladder?
Always. It was either to win or to move up the ladder. It was to try to be a professional race car driver, basically.
So then, what was you and I were talking earlier, and I was surprised to see you only ran the full schedule. The 3 or 4 years? I thought it was way more than that.
No, I mean, we were always fighting funding, so we ran full time 2, 3, and 4, and then 05 I got injured, and then again we ran in 06, and then really that was kind of like the last time I drove. I ran a few races in 07, but not many, just a couple. But it was becoming too much of a financial strain. Prices in the series were going up, and we kind of had to make some business choices.
So, talk about weird ironies. Your dad does his first Cup start MIS, breaks his neck. He's got
Yep.
the halo on. What an odd way to treat an injury.
Right.
And then you have basically the same injury with a halo on your head. My God, what a weird circumstance.
It is, right? What's the chances of that? But,
Right.
we both were fortunate enough not to have any lingering side effects from it, and it worked out well.
And then you came back the next year and won your first race,
Yep.
Salem.
Yeah, I really was big about not wanting to injury at Daytona to be my last ride. So came back and ran the full season in 06. And to be honest, we probably didn't have the funding to do it, and we way overextended ourselves. So at the end of 06, basically we had to make some decisions.
So it wasn't the injury, though.
No,
It's,
it had nothing to do with the injury. It had to do more with the checkbook. But so what's funny, we needed to keep the doors open. Dad kind of brought me in and was like, you gotta go get a job. We didn't have any payroll.
Who wants to do that?
Right, well, and then
Get a regular job.
he gave me the opportunity. He's like, asked him how long can we go? He's like, you got about 3 weeks worth of payroll. And I was like, okay. And he really kind of gave me the keys to the castle at that point. He's like, do whatever you want. So, from that moment, and that was in 07, beginning of 07, from that moment on, I pretty much have run what you've seen as Venturini. Not pretty much. I've completely run what's Venturini Motorsports from that point on, because Dad really only cared about us racing as a family. So the rest of this that you've seen, that was just, Dad's basically a really cool fan, and he handles our truck drivers. But the rest has been kind of a little bit of my vision and what I wanted to do. And I kind of felt like we never raced the right way with me driving. So the program was designed to basically do it the right way. It was not, and fortunately we got some really awesome partners and some good drivers and got some great opportunities and made the most of them. And it's just crazy that it somehow happened the way it did, because we had nothing, and now it's worked the way it has. And sport's been great to me now.
And every week, you're competing basically against Cup teams.
Yeah.
And most of the time beating them. I mean, what do you think your grandfather would say, looking back to when he started and what he had, and today? What do you think, looking at this today? What do you think he would say?
Oh, I'm sure there'd be pride there. Yeah, I'm sure he'd be awfully proud. I know Dad is. Dad's super proud of, because
Oh, yeah.
obviously he knows where we came from. I don't think most people do. You're one who would appreciate that. You know, I talked to Tommy Prater the other day. He's one that the people who knew us with the struggle know there's a whole different story than what you've seen if you've been watching ARCA racing for 15 years.
Right,
Because
right.
the last 15 years doesn't tell the story. You're kind of joining the book in the last 4 chapters.
You're getting in on the end.
You missed the first 5 or 6, right?
So what's the expectations today?
Have fun. I have. This will be the last time I ever drive a race car as a race car driver.
They all say that.
No. Well, it's been quite a while, right?
It's been a while. Been a few
I
moons.
always wanted to run here, and when I got done, it was my one regret. It wasn't that I didn't make it. It wasn't. Well, there was nothing. I was not crying over any spilled milk, man. I was like, things worked out in the long run, and honestly, it's way better for me for the way it happened than if I would have had a more successful driving career. Because you could have an awfully successful driving career in this series, and it would be nowhere near the same benefit for your family as what I've been able to do
Yeah.
with our team and our business. So I wouldn't trade any of it,
Yeah.
but I wanted the race here, and I never got the opportunity. And they talked about putting it on the schedule last year, and I told Drager that if he did, I would run it. And I think he gave me a couple of different. He checked the barometer a couple times to make sure I was actually still in. And every time he checked, I'm like, I will be in. I
I'll
will
be
in.
there.
And then when he put it on the schedule, I'm like, I'll be there. And then he checked again, like in March this year. He's like, are you really going to run? I was like, absolutely, I'm going to run. I knew last year at Kansas in May, when it was mentioned about possibly coming here, I'm like, it's the one thing I will get out. I will come back and do.
Wow.
So, actually, you do, like I said, you know me well. If I say I'm going to do it, hell or high water, I'm going to do it.
You're going to do it.
You've seen me bungee jump on a time when I did not want to, but I had run my damn mouth and had no choice.
Had to do it.
And I'd rather have been a lawn dart than
Then go back on your word.
back and look like I was, yeah.
Man, that bungee, what was that, 30 what? Michigan 30?
92,
early I think.
Early
Yeah.
90, yeah, maybe
Oh
92.
my God, you make a few feel old and fat.
I mean, if I did stuff like that to keep my word, I'm going to see this through. So, and someone's like, man, if I did it, I'd do a late model. And that sounds great, but I own 34 ARCA cars,
Yeah,
man. Like,
yeah.
it makes no sense for me to
Right.
try to go get in someone's late model.
Right.
I got a whole shop of these that I
Right.
own now.
Right.
And I didn't have to run it by anyone to do this
Right.
race. And I
Let me
didn't-
check with the boss. Oh,
and,
wait.
and I didn't call anyone to pay for tires. I didn't do anything. It was just like, all right, I want to do this. We've got the means. And this is really the first race in my whole career that I'm just running for enjoyment. Like,
Wow.
I've never done that. This is the first time.
Wow.
I've learned how to enjoy being an owner. I've learned, which I couldn't even enjoy being a crew chief. That's the problem. And I hated that. It sucked all the fun out of it.
Yeah.
I actually told my wife as I was driving here, I was like, I hate who I am as a competitor, but I don't think you're doing it right if you're not ashamed of who you are in a moment of competition. If you won't
That's true.
cut their throat for
That's
the
true.
win, you need to do something that isn't, your livelihood doesn't depend on competing. But if you're a decent person, you should get done and be like, I'm not proud of that, and I'm not. But I'd do it again because that's how my family eats. And
You're at a
that's how
race.
and that's what we've done.
You're here to finish in front of the next guy. Absolutely.
And you would be, and sometimes you're mean and nasty to do it, but
But in
it's
the end,
only way, if you compete for your livelihood, it's the only way you're going to be successful.
well, listen, a lot of these older, guys, even, Petty's talking about his dad wasn't the nicest guy in the track. Move people out of the way, wreck him if he had to, but it's taking food off my family's table if I don't try to beat you.
It's like I said, I'm glad that I've gotten to the point, because I still stay super active with everything going on with the team, competition-wise, driver-wise, but I've found a role now that I don't have to be. And in the crew, in the shop, they have a term they use, and it's called Crew Chief Billy, because they claim that I've got two alter egos. I've got my normal, like if you work with me during the week, you would swear I'm a seriously nice guy. And if you're trying to deal with me between green to checkered flag at the racetrack, you're going to think I'm an absolute monster. So they have that term, Crew Chief Billy, because everyone's like, no one likes Crew Chief Billy, except my driver. My driver likes Crew Chief Billy, and everyone else hates him. But now I've learned how to kind of take a step back and still find a way to help all those years of experience and wisdom. And I work with every team, and I work with every driver. And I'm up on the roof a lot now, kind of telling the crew chiefs what I'm seeing, because the drivers are young and can't relay everything. So I've learned how to kind of spread that amongst all the teams and hope for like overall performance for the team.
What are your mom and dad's thoughts on all this? They're going to be here, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're here. They're here. I got a ton of family coming too. I think as I did this, I was kind of like, this isn't really what this was about. I was trying to be like low key, not. And then I realized,
not having it.
And then I realized they all supported me a long time, and this means something to them too, in their own way. So like, it's good for them if they all want to come out and they're gonna. I think they're gonna enjoy themselves.
Because I think your dad's first win was here, right?
1983.
And then he's got 2 or 3 here.
3, I believe.
He's got 1 at Spartan, so he's got 5 wins in the state of Michigan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you would probably know. You probably looked at it more recent than I did. But
thank God he got a Rockford now that it's going away. But yeah, so this state and this track mean a lot to you guys, I'm sure.
This is the place I always wanted to run, never got to, and I was like, I can do this. I can. There was also a little part that kicked in this last couple of weeks that I'm like, this actually makes me feel really old, because only old guys can be like, hey, I want to drive a race car, and then you just go hop in a race car. I raced against those guys. I couldn't stand those guys. Those guys drive me nuts. I was like, no, the rest of us are trying to prove something. This old man's just out here having fun. Well, I'm the old man out here having fun tonight.
And we couldn't talk your dad into doing it, huh?
And one of these kids at the end of the night, we might be like, that son of a... Yeah, so be it.
Well, unlike the old days, it'll be on TV so we can, break it down and look at what happened here, and look at that little nudge like you do all the time now. Back then,
I liked it better when they couldn't track all your stuff.
Well, we all talk about it on social media anyway, right? Well, I interviewed Joe Ruttman 4 years ago, and he gave you guys the ultimate compliment, and he said that if you look around, he remember racing against your dad, Milwaukee and all that, and he said if you look around, most guys start in racing with a lot and end up with nothing. He said, but look at them Venturini. He said this is a Daytona. He said they got 2 4-haulers out there. Look what they got now. So,
and when someone like Joe Ruttman says that, that's the ultimate compliment. Like when Dave Waltmeyer gets me hemmed up and tells me how proud he is, dude, I can't even explain what that means. Like these are my heroes.
Right.
Like
right.
I'm the oldest 47-year-old you're ever going to find in the garage area, because I've been here since I was 2 years old, or since actually months old. I've been in the garage area, and I was always the youngest kid in the garage area. So those old timers, I do like that. I think they got a little bit of a soft spot for me because I'm the one face they know.
They know, right?
So like Waddell Wilson walks by, and I'm like, to me, he's still Waddell Wilson, and I'm
absolutely.
like, and Gene Dehart was in our shop a few months ago.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh my God. Gene comes up and shakes my hand, and he's super nice, and I was a little bit starstruck because he is who he is or was.
Absolutely.
Half the guys in my shop had no idea who he was. And I was like, it kind of breaks your heart a little, but...
Who's the old guy you're talking to?
Yeah, I'm like, do you guys not...
Excuse me? You know who that is?
It's the ultimate badass right there, guys. Like, it's... So, I appreciate the sport. I love what we were able to do. But there was definitely... Trying to turn it into a business was my goal. I hope it was really good for the sport. I think it's the only way the sport will survive. That's the problem.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I know there's still some naysayers out there that think maybe it wasn't good for it, but I think as a whole, most people think it's...
Times change, though.
It is. Times change. And really what has happened is now you have a couple super teams in the series, and the drivers come and go. And not in a bad way, but they're here as part of a growth period, not for a career.
Yeah.
And you got to understand how
this is the series is created for.
Right. Yeah. And so
not for young guys like us,
No. So I hope we serve our role and our niche in the sport well.
One last question. What about your boys? You got 2 boys.
I do. They're here today.
So what about them?
They're not racers.
No.
my one son, he if it's not with a pigskin, he don't pay attention to it whatsoever. He's definitely my football son. He lives it, but he lives it the way I told him he has to be. I don't care if he plays football. I don't care if he does another sport, but he told me he wants to be a football player. So now I'm going to make him go at it like you would go at it, like the race car drivers do,
Absolutely.
or I'm like, okay, well then we don't screw around. I was like, and at any time, if this isn't fun, you just tell me and I'm going to ease up on you and we can have fun. But if you want to do this and this is what your goal is, then I'm going to make sure you got, and I tried to do I feel like in this sport, we became the place where people need to send their kids for them to have their best chance to make it into the Cup Series.
I agree.
So I lined him up with, he's got a pro player that is his position coach he trains with. He's got a strength and conditioning coach. He's got a nutritionist.
Wow,
I did
okay.
all the stuff like they do, because I know in my world, they need to send them to me, but I also know in that world, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I need to back off and let professionals do their job.
Yeah.
And now my other son, Max, his twin brother, he works at the shop pretty often.
Okay.
Never really been into the driving. Spends a lot of time working with me. He's an awesome kid. You'll see him a bunch at the races this year.
Yeah.
He travels with me.
And they're here today, if I'm not
they're both here
mistaken. I
today.
thought I saw them.
Yeah, they're the little ones.
What have they said about yeah, right. What have they said about all this?
Luke got in there. He's like, "You ready, Dad?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be a good day." He's like, "All right, cool. That's it. That's it." They're not. They're pretty cool characters. They don't get so they're not super animated or anything like that. Max went with me to the test on Wednesday. Afterwards, he didn't really say much. He was like, "Oh, that's cool. They're 15-year-old boys, man."
But they've never seen you race.
Oh no, they've never seen me
in
race.
person.
Nope.
So that was his first time.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, they weren't born.
Yeah,
so.
right. They weren't, if I'm not mistaken, they were just born when you guys won Rockingham with Joey Logano, I believe.
They were
right?
born 6 weeks prior.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
No, wow. A lot of history being made today. So go out and make some history. We'll see you maybe on the front stretch. We hope.
I'll tell you,
right?
I want to have fun. I went and tested to make sure I wasn't going to be just completely lap traffic and get lapped every 10 laps. I won't be there. I highly doubt I'll contend for a win, but I will. I should be fast enough to race with some people that means something, you know. And I think to be able to do that, that's all. If I'm racing for sixth, fine, fun. I want to have fun doing that, and this is not for. You always want to finish the best you can because that's kind of the name of the game.
Well, and that 20 is, 7 points out in the owners' points, too.
I know, I started dreading that. We left Dover, and I'm like, this is not how this was supposed to be. If you notice, they got JBL plaster all over the car. Toyota's like, well, we need to put JBL on the car. I'm like, no, man, this is... I'm like an old man. I don't need that stuff. They're like, no. Because they've always said, they're like, we're not putting any Toyota corporate sponsors that are not young driver development kids. We don't even want to be associated. I'm like, no, I get that. And then they told me they wanted to be on me. I'm like... Now, wait a minute, I am the last thing from a driver. He's like, yeah, but you run our driver development program, so it's different, and we want to be part of it. So, remember, all the TRD guys have texted me this morning. Make sure, wish me luck, tell me have fun. It's
watching on Flow.
The young guy said that. The young guy's like, good luck, go get some good results. The other old guys I've been friends with a long time, they were just like, have some fun, this is cool. Yeah.
Well, like I say, we'll hopefully see you on the front stretch. I won't say what the other options are, but at least you can finish at least 16th, right?
My goal when I got here, like I said, was not to be totally lap traffic, but I did say I don't want to spin out more than once in the race. If I spin out once, I'm not going to get totally upset. I don't want to spin out more than once, and I'd like to just be racing some decent cars. Like if I'm over there trading paint with old Tink at the end of the race, that'd be fun as hell. Like he's a good little racer, and it's been a long time. That would be fun. I'd have fun doing that. If I'm there, I don't know, somewhere in that mix, great.
Thank you, buddy. We'll see you out there. fifth fastest. What do you think?
I thought that was okay. I'm pleased with that. That was a 10th off the pole. I'll take it. That was,
Now you're top 5 practice whole time, 3rd, 4th all day.
yeah. I don't know. I think it'll be fun. I'm fast enough to have fun tonight.
Just don't be fast enough to spin. Like you said.
I gave myself one spin tonight. I'm not hoping I don't cash in on it.
You didn't cash it in during practice, so.
No. I don't want to cash it in during the race, that's for sure.
No.
But the 20s will be running full time in the series, that and the 15. Both of those are my cars. So they just put the old number on there thinking it's going to run. I haven't driven myself in a while, so I went with my old number.
So what do you think, Dad Bill? What's going on here today?
I'm kind of enjoying it. This is fun. You know, I'm a fan today. I noticed I don't even have my radio on. I did listen, but you know, I knew once Billy put the helmet on, the competitive side of him would come out. So by the second time on practice, he was screaming he needed more changes. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope he really has fun, and we don't wreck anything. That's all I care about.
So I believe you had 2 or 3 ARCA wins here.
3.
3. So looking back at your time here at Flat Rock, does that make it more special that he said, I want to do this?
Well, that's one of the reasons he wanted to do this, because this was my first win ever in ARCA, was here in '83, and he was 7. So he was 7 when I won. So, and he was here for all 3 of my wins. But then when it's time for him to race, when he got old enough, it wasn't on the schedule. And he always said, Dad, I really would like to race Flat Rock. I just liked it. So he told me, if it ever comes on the schedule, I think I'd want to do it.
Did you really take him seriously, though?
No. But, about 2 years ago he said it, and in the last year he's really been working his health. Losing weight, working
Hey, looks
out.
good.
Yeah.
You both look good.
And he just said, he didn't do it to race, but he was getting himself better. And then when they announced it, he said, you know what, Dad? He says, Ron said they're going to schedule an East race. Ron called him before he put it on the schedule. And asked Billy, he said, all right, if I put it on the schedule, will you come? And Billy said, definitely.
Wow.
He said, it's on my bucket list. It's something I want to do. And when Ron said, okay, he says, I'm going to put it on the schedule.
Wow.
I'll be there.
So looking back at your dad who started all this,
Yeah.
to the guy who said, if you're racing, Bill, you can't live here.
Yeah.
To now looking at all that you guys have here today, what do you think your dad would say?
I wish my dad was alive to see it.
Right.
You know, I kind of laid the foundation, but Billy built the building. Let's put it that way. You know, when it was time for me to kind of give up the ownership to him, we were struggling a little, you know, to be honest. And he said, I don't want to quit racing. And I said, well, I'll support you. You have to do it. I'm not going to fund it. I'll support you, but you have to do it. He said, okay. And this is what he built. You know, we went from 1 employee to 20 full-time employees. I think we got 28 or 30 race cars sitting in the shop.
That's more than some car dealers.
Oh, God. Yeah, ain't that the truth? How about it? You know, and like he said, you know, now we're in a position in life that we could afford to do this. This is a fun thing. He said, we have enough race cars. They're all good race cars. So, you know, if he wrecks one, okay, no big deal. It's a big deal, but it's not, you know.
Right.
And actually, when we knew we were going to do this, all of his old sponsors that sponsored him wanted to do it.
Really?
And then Toyota, when Toyota found out, Toyota said, nope, we want to sponsor you.
Wow.
So they came on board.
What a compliment.
Yeah, they sponsored the car, bought him a new suit, new helmet, and everything. So we're having fun, just enjoying it.
Well, you talk about what you guys built. I interviewed Joe Ruttman about 3-4 years ago, and you know, looking back at different guys he ran with, and we were at Daytona, and he pointed to your guys' stuff, and he said, most guys come into racing and start out with a lot and end up with nothing. He said, but here's Bill and Billy and Kathy. They had nothing, and now look what they have. So what a compliment.
Yes, yeah, and that's the truth. 99% of racers start with everything and spend it all racing. We, on the other hand, we didn't have anything to spend on racing.
Hey, I saw your videos that you loaned me.
Okay, you know it.
You had nothing, right?
Okay,
right.
So, and I got to give Billy credit for this. He's the one that said, I'm going to build a company, Dad. And I said, God bless you, kid. And now he's speaking of the devil. There he goes. He's made it. I can retire. I mean, I don't have to. Some days he tells me just go home. You know, take your check, go home, which I can't do anyhow.
Can't do that, right?
I can't do that anyhow. But it's different now that he's the boss and I'm the employee, so to speak. I'm not really the employee, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
One thing for sure he said was, I can't talk on the radio tonight.
Dads never can. All the dads get no radios whatsoever.
I have the radio, but he told me, he said, Dad, if you press that talk button, we were testing last week, and I pressed the button once and said something to him, and I got my butt chewed out. He says, that's it. When we go to Flat Rock, you're not getting a radio.
Are you getting the one that don't work?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But
Hey there, Ralph. Well, I'll tell you. My goodness. So, what do you think's realistic tonight?
After seeing practice today,
You run good.
run good.
Yeah.
We were hoping top 5 maybe. You know, now top 3 maybe. I'm hoping. I mean, he's gotten competitive. I didn't think the competitive juices would come out in him, I guess, but once he put the helmet on,
you can see it in his face.
You can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you hopefully on the front stretch.
You got it. Thanks.
Starting fourth tonight in the number 18, Starkey, Sound Gear Toyota. He dominated the season opener at Five Flags Speedway, leading all 200 laps. It is your current ARCA Series East Championship points leader. Out of Eden Prairie, Minnesota, Grace Stage makes the noise for William Flores. Your third place starter tonight with the number 28, Pinnacle Racing Group Chevrolet. Comes to us up. Waukall, Wisconsin. He picked up his first career.
You can tell it's been a while since I've raced. They like me.
Saturday night, National Fairgrounds.
That won't take long, right?
Nah, I'm old enough now that they probably will like me for a while.
And now your front row in the number 6. Matt Siegel Incorporated Rabbit Racing Chevrolet. He comes to us out of Kearney Point, New Jersey. Race in, make the noise for Lars Scott. And now your Gentleman Tire Polo Awards winner tonight out of Newport Beach, California. He drives the number 15 Chevrolet Toyota. He has already picked up a pair of ARCA Series West victories. Looking for his first career East Series win here tonight, and he's going to do it from P1. Make the noise, racing, for Sean Gigliani. Race fans, we're going to give these drivers a couple of minutes to get bottled in, and then we will get the command to get this handle wet. Race fans, are you having fun tonight? Are you ready to go racing? All right, this I can't hear him. I'm going to have to ask him one more time. Race fans, are you ready to go racing here tonight? You know, Rich, I think that's a little bit better, but I'm going to give that a 6. I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. Race fans, I think we can get there. I think we can get a 10 out of 10.
More for the race.
Race fans, one more time.
These aren't as bad as the old ones.
I know it's a test, yeah, not for now.
Yeah.
For safety.
No, I like that. No, we're good. Just wait 1 second.
Come on. Good luck, Billy.
Thank you, buddy.
You want to run? Kind of strong.
One minute, guys. 1 minute.
Thanks, Mercy.
My man. That's had to have been fun.
Your runner-up finisher, Lamar Scott. And one and done, I guess, Billy, right? 4th place finish. Could you imagine that? You bring home a fairly clean car, and you finish in the top 5.
Yeah, I was. That exceeds what I was, even my expectations. That was great. I really.
Talk to me about the memories of this racetrack with your family. So many years since your dad raced here, and then it's been 17 years since you've been in a race car. And what a track you picked to come to.
It was all about coming here. It was all about Flat Rock Speedway, and it was the last time I raced was Talladega in 2006-7, and it was a 4th place finish. And I've been 4th tonight, so it's a great second retirement. So that's perfect.
Looks like it's going to be a while before they wipe that smile off your face. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm gonna go drink a beer now.
Nice round of applause for your 4th place finisher, Miller.
We had fun. I had fun. See you later.
Your 50-50 winner tonight. 150 laps, 40 minutes. That's how you put them on.
Were you taking it easy a little bit there, or was it just like they were just gone?
Man, it took me a little bit to get in a race rhythm then, because all I've been doing is practicing. So it was more, when you practice, it's way more of a pace. So I had my sprint pace kind of down pat finally. And then when I went to a race pace, I was just like, yeah, I'm not ready to race that fast. And I needed them to kind of slow down, and they did. And then I was able to get in a real good rhythm. And then I realized a whole bunch of things technically about this racetrack as we were running, and just started making sure I hit my marks and grabbed. I knew where some grip was. I found that and went and hugged it.
Because it looked like the middle of the race, you moved up about a lane there a little bit.
Well, that late in the race, the yellow line got good. So I just had to stay committed to it and disciplined to it. And man, this was right up my alley. This was exactly the type of racing we did back 16 years ago.
Well, is it one and done?
It's one and done. That was so much fun.
Even if they come back next year?
Even if they come back next year, that was so much fun. I've been very fortunate that things in my career went well out of the car. I might as well I think I should take this one and just be grateful it went so well tonight.
Not a mark on the car, not a mark on the uniform.
I'm clean.
I don't know, you don't look like you're sweating.
Yeah. No, that cool box, that thing's awesome, man. So.
Well, on behalf of Supercars Today TV, thanks for letting us follow you around. I'm gonna follow you around a little more. Don't pay attention to the guy with the lighted camera. Thanks, buddy. Which I did catch, by the way. Hopefully TV did.
That's as good a night as I could ever even dream of. That was awesome. Had a blast. I love this. This racetrack was as much fun as I thought it would be to run. I think that might have been part of it. Was my attitude to come here was probably as good as anyone's here, and positive attitude breeds positive results. And that was a great night.
It's just like being out there and just racing. It's like, it's been a while, but it doesn't get old, does it?
It had been a while, but I got race leaders, the race went on, and it brought me back to my legend car days. And that's really where my roots were. where I started, and I thought that that always stuck with me when I ARCA raced. And tonight turned into one of those, and it was so much fun. I wish this thing was 200 laps. I really did. I was like, man, I know I would have got at least one more of them, if not two more of them, if it had been a little longer. Because we were steady Eddie tonight, man. We just couldn't go like those kids could, but we hung in there nice.
Could we see you in the car again? I just have to ask that.
No, I'm good, man. I can't. That's as good as it can get. I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna drop the mic right there.
All right. What was it like having the kids here and everybody here? A lot of people came in to help. I just talked to your spotter, Brendan Poole. What was that like to hear him?
I thought it was the amount of people who came out to support. That was as cool as running the race, and it's kind of funny. I actually wouldn't know it from seeing me from afar, but I'm actually kind of a little bit of a low-key private guy. I swear, I know you guys don't know that, but so when everyone's here, I kind of realized that they wanted to take 50 turns.
Come on, that at least warrants a kiss, right?
Have fun. I wish it was funner. They're coming to me. I'm really worried. This is my type of racing.
What do you think, Dad?
I'm very proud. They did a good job.
That was fun to watch. You did a hell of a job. You really did all day. That's all Ron. I was like, pretty impressive how good Billy is. You're just smooth. And it was never forget it, right?
Yeah, that was so fun.
So, good deal. Thank you.
Track was awesome. That was so much fun. I'll leave my kids to do that. I guess that's what credibility. I have them So she, and me trying to like get smart ass and was like, oh, all the drivers. And you know, and then I drove past her shit and I was kind of like,